Hello there, greetings and welcome here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I am the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock and other forms of rock music. So it's Wednesday night, time for an episode of Favorites. So Favorites show I do every Wednesday in which I pick either a 5 or a 10 or maybe a 15 or even as high as 30s. Either a top album or maybe a top band list or maybe guitarist. There's all kinds of different things. I do an album ranking sometimes. I do a list of favorite songs from a band. So I did all kinds of different stuff here. Tonight we're going to do something that I thought about. I wasn't going to do this, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. So this is 5 albums that are stinkers by bands that I love, or 5 albums that I don't really like by bands that I love. So, or artists that I love. So I picked out 5. Probably could have picked out more, but I think these 5 will do. They're not in any particular order. I'm just going to go over them one at a time and just tell you what it is I don't like about them, really. So the first one is this one. It's called Neil Young's Prairie Wind. I don't know if you can see how close up that. I just don't find anything particularly interesting about this album at all. Yes, I do tend to like the more quieter acoustic albums by Neil Young, but I do like the heavy stuff too. So nothing really discerning one way or the other about them. I like them both. There's nothing. I don't prefer the heavy ones over the more acoustic ones or the acoustic ones over the more heavy ones. But for some reason, I just don't find any song on this album appealing at all. I don't really like the cover. I don't like this shot of the 2 kids at the back here. I don't get it. The album's, to me, just boring. Yeah, not much to it. There's nothing memorable about it at all. I've listened to the entire thing. I guess there's probably nothing I really hate on here, but to me it's just it's the one album by him that I just find to be a bit of a stinker. So that's the first one. Second one up, I don't know if it's just because I can't get into it or I haven't been able to absorb it or whatever it is. I just find this album bizarre. Passion Play by Jethro Tull. It's the one outlier for me of all the albums that I have by Jethro Tull. Now there are a couple I still haven't really given a full listen to. I guess this might qualify as an album like that too. I just find this a weird album. There's a lot of strange stuff going on here. Even though it's got most of the people on here I like a lot. Jeffrey Hammond, Barrymore Barlow, John Evan, Martin Barr, Ian Anderson. Yeah, I like all these musicians, and this album I think is the follow-up to Thick as a Brick, which I like quite a bit, but I just find this a bizarre album. I didn't like it when I first heard it. I haven't really warmed up to it in any way, shape, or form. I think it's a bit of a stinker. I know some people like it a lot, but I just find it an outlier. Not really an album I care to go back to, but who knows, maybe that'll change. Next one, from a band, of course, that I love a lot, which is Yes. I do not like this album too much. Open Your Eyes, it's called. It's not that the music is absolutely terrible. I don't think it is. I don't really like the cover. You think about all the wonderful Yes covers that are out there. Some of the best rock covers in rock history come from Yes and Roger Dean, and this one just is bland, to say the least, right? It's just black with orange. Now, I do like the color orange, but it just doesn't do nothing for me, the cover-wise. And this, of course, has some really good musicians on it. Anderson, Howe, Sherwood, well, maybe not Sherwood so much, but Squire and Alan White are all on this. But the songs are pretty much unmemorable. I've listened to this half a dozen times. I can't even remember one single track off of it. I found myself twice I had it on and I just pulled it off because I couldn't take it anymore. It was a little bit too much for me. So Open Your Eyes by Yes, not a fan. I mean, maybe the Heaven and Earth one might be the same. I don't know. I don't own it. So if I do buy it, I'll let you know. Next one up, another band that I love quite a bit, another one of my favorite bands. So we've done a couple of those now. This is another from my group of 9. This is The Final Cut, which is kind of the leftovers from The Wall, which I didn't like The Wall when I was younger. I like it more now, but there's about half of the songs on The Wall that I could do without, and these are leftovers from that. So to me, this is a stinker. I don't find anything appealing about this album. I can't even remember most of the tracks on here. I've listened to this now. I've had it for a while. I've listened to it a couple times, hoping something will change, but it never hasn't done that. And over the years that I've heard this bits and pieces of this on the radio, I just not for me. It's the one, and they've got a few other albums that are kind of weak too, but this one I think is a stinker. So The Final Cut from Pink Floyd. And the last one comes from my favorite band. Could have chose, there's like 4 or 5 albums in their discography that I'm not crazy about, but there's really only 2 that I think are stinkers, and this is one of them. Presto by Rush. This is absolutely terrible. I like nothing about this album. I've tried listening to it a few times. The only thing about this album I do like the cover, I have to admit. I do like this cover quite a bit, but the songs completely unmemorable. I've played it a few times and then decided that I wouldn't play it ever again if I could help it. Although I did listen to a little bit of it today just to see if I was right about it. But this one takes the cake from the ones that I think are stinkers. This is, to me, the worst Rush album and maybe one of the worst albums out there. So Rush's Presto. So those are the 5 I chose for the show tonight to discuss. Rush's Presto, The Final Cut from Pink Floyd, not a big fan. Open Your Eyes from Yes, bad cover followed by bad music. Jethro Tull's Passion Play. It's a bit of a strange cover as well. It seems to be a combination. Sometimes the cover makes the book, right? And this is just not a good album, in my opinion. And last but not least, it's kind of boring album. I don't really like the cover much, or I don't even get what's happening here. Neil Young's Prairie Wind is kind of boring. Not much to it. Even he normally has these kind of acoustic songs too, and I generally warm to them, but not with this one. So there you have it. Those are my 5 albums for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. Please hit the like and subscribe and notification bells. If you want to make any comments about any of the albums I chose, you can. Or maybe you want to put some albums that you just say to yourself, God, these are god-awful. I love this band. I wish I could like this album, but it's just god-awful. So you can put that in the comment section below as well. Anyways, hopefully we will come back with something a little different next week. I'm thinking of doing something I haven't done for a while, and a ranking of an album. I have one in mind, so that might be what I do next week. So anyways, I'm glad to have had you out here tonight for the show. So please come back and see me. Take care and have yourself a good evening. Goodbye.